Alright, hello. Back here. I started the stream up real quick and then realized I didn't have my vehicles folder. So let's get going here. I've also couldn't remember if I did this game save before or after the new update, which is pretty cool, flexible ducting. So that's pretty cool. Worked on the front end loader for Alistair's challenge here a little bit. Just some mechanism work. It's getting pretty close to being able to start getting to the detail work. Let's see, we're on music here. Detailing work. So let's go ahead and take a look at what I've got going here so far on the build. Let me move sounds down a little bit. All right. Get rid of some infinite electricities off. Okay, good. Alright, so we're up and running here. Let's show off what we've got with this and what I've changed since I last streamed it. So, alright, so let's just look at the button mechanisms here. So, I added the linkage for the bucket tilt, and it takes a little bit of work to make that look good. So we have the cylinder here in the center, and you'd have to have really long cylinders. So there's a bunch of different ways that front loaders do this. Let me see if I can get some pictures here for you guys. But there's a bunch of different ways that front loaders do these mechanisms, and so some of them are quite difficult to get in game just because of the part size we have are very large. So like you have kind of a standard front loader bucket here, and so you have the cylinders. Let's do this. Put it in paint. All right, so like here's a big picture of what the mechanism looks like. And so you can see you have the main cylinder here. This is to lift the arms. And so you have your hydraulic cylinder here, and depending upon where you put the cylinder, it changes how much force is required to lift the arms. You know, you have it more here, you have less leverage, it's going to take more force. And so you'll see this in something like huge mining loaders. And part of the thing is when you have a long cylinder like this, it could easily bend if you put too much force. So what they'll do is they'll do more vertical here, and they can have an enormous cylinder that's less likely to bend. And that will increase the weight they can lift. On this type here, you have a hydraulic cylinder here that is connecting to a linkage that will tilt the bucket. So you have the bucket connected right here. Let me do a pen so you can actually see it. So right here is where the connection is for the pivot point of the actual bucket. Here's the connection point for the hydraulic cylinder. Then you have a connection point here and a pivot point there. So these are all bearings. And so as this cylinder extends this way, it will push out the bucket and tilt the bucket. So you need to have another narrow, thin hydraulic cylinder. Now, of course, this is easy in real life because you can attach these before, you can attach them to the machine. This is also another cool linkage here. If you look, there's a bearing here, here, and here. And this plate will pivot, and this is just a solid piece of metal. It's a linkage. And so what's going to happen is as you raise the bucket, as you raise this arm here, as the arm goes up, the bucket would actually tip dirt out of the back, and it would fall in the cab or rocks more dangerously, and you could crush an operator. And so you don't want that to happen. And so one of the ways you combat that is you put this linkage. So as the arm right here goes up, right, it's going to cause this linkage to push this direction, which then causes this whole linkage to push this direction, and therefore forces the bucket to go forwards. so that as you lift the arms, you don't tip the dirt or the rocks out of your bucket. So it stays level. So it's an auto leveler system. So it's kind of cool. I used to have those on some of the loaders that I worked with. You also have more of a wheel loader setup here, and this is there's actually a couple good pictures here. And this is what I've gone with. This is what most large wheel loaders have. It's kind of something like this here. Let's get a picture of it. We'll put it back in paint.net. And so this is the kind of linkage that I've put in mine. And so, again, you'd have to have really long cylinders. And if you had really long cylinders, they would make it harder to, they'd make it more easy to bend the cylinder. But also, in game, we can't start with our cylinders attached. And so what you do is you can have a relatively short and stout, strong cylinder right here. And it moves a rotating hard linkage right here. And then you have some solid drag linkages here, and that will tilt the bucket. So that's what I've gone with. So we can go ahead and look at that linkage in game. So if you look here, I have a pivoting linkage right there. And that pivoting linkage comes down, and it goes to a drag link. And then it has a simulated hydraulic cylinder there. So to tilt the bucket, you notice how it pulls the cylinder in, and you can see the mechanism moving. And of course, it's actually not doing anything. What's causing this is one small pivot is actually moving the bucket, but that's just kind of showing what it would do. And then we have the arms here. We have the cylinders are faked there for the arms. All right, so some other things I added was put some mud flaps on the front tires there, which will also hold lights. So it's pretty much about what I've done so far off screen. So let's bring it back in, start playing with some more. Why is this being annoying? Stand by, I'm just doing something real quick. All right, so got a lot of that stuff done. I was trying to get the mechanics of this working the way I want. The other thing I added was to simulate the cylinders here that actually articulate the loader. So I'm going to work with that a little bit. Move the batteries probably. So let's move the batteries because that's just going to... You see where the arms come in here? You can see the batteries, and I want to move those, and I want to make sure they're not in the way. So find a spot for batteries. Just put them down here somewhere is fine. These arrows are not ideal. So I wanted to get to the detail phase pretty early. I got to work Thanksgiving anyway, so that doesn't matter. But want to kind of get done. The deadline is the 29th. And I want to be pretty much to the decorating phase because, you know, if you get big stuff that's not working, it's kind of obnoxious to rush that, especially when I'm at work. So I can do some light decorating here and there. So that's good. We get that. Let's get symmetry on. Thinking there. What's in the way over here is the question. We get that piping for the... Okay, so that's fine. We'll get rid of that. I'm just trying to put something to kind of cover that area up. So I think we'll put a 45 wedge in there. All right, that should not have any issues there. There we go. All right, good. So that just kind of hides that, so it's not showing the internals there. Again, you're never going to be able to see it anyway, but that's good. We like that. I'm just screwing with some stream stuff, guys. All right, good. So that's most of the mechanical stuff. We need to put in lighting. We need to put in cherries on top. I got to hide some microcontrollers. So for now, I'm just going to start banging off some microcontrollers and moving them. I got to make sure, I got to probably ask Alistair if this size works. I think it's 100% within, but might have to tilt the bucket to get it to technically fit within. So I got to double check and ask. It's pretty close, so I want to double check it. What is this? That's not connected to anything, so that can go. That is connected to something. What is this? This is drill motor. I don't need that anymore. That's gone. What is that going to? That's tilt bucket dump. Okay, I deleted a tilt sensor, so I gotta fix that. Shit, I gotta try to remember what the level is. That's alright, I can figure that out pretty quick. Painting won't take too long. Alright, and then this can just go off somewhere for right now. Alright, so I want a couple cherries on here. And we have the new rotating beacons. I have not played with these at all, so. Literally not played with those at all. So I have some kind of interesting systems we'll play with that might be better, but I'm glad they added them in the game. Even if I don't use something, I'm glad they added it to the game. Okay, let's find a key that I'm not using. I think 4 is not being used for anything. Let's do this. I don't need this. Actually, I'm going to still use that for something. All right, let's go check those cherries out. See if I like the rotating lights. I've yet to use them, so. We got some other systems. We'll check back and see if I like those or not. Let's do a quick fit test. I got to do this somewhere else to do a fit test, so let's do that. Move bases so we can check this out. start a new world because of the new update, so I gotta move some stuff. I get rid of the friggin' dog because they sit there and just pant the whole time in the in here. What's going on with the doors? The doors are glitched, they're making a noise, so that's annoying. Yeah, the noise is broken, so I can fix that though for now, and I'll do that for now. It could be something I did because I saved the game while that was loading. So let's do a quick fit test here. So I gotta double check with Alistair, see how this is gonna work. Let's go up actually. Stop, you bastard. We go right there. All right. So this is the block it has to fit in. So up down is fine. It fits forward back fine. There's a little bit of question if this is going to be too tall, but the other thing too is I got to ask. So essentially the wheels are here, so that fits in the wheels. The problem is the bucket's one down, so we go one down right there. And then if you look, this pretty much hits where the cherries are. So the question I have for, and I'll have to ask Alistair is, so if you tip this bucket back and lift the arms, it will fit in the box with the cherries on top. So I gotta ask, how's it going there, Xorus? How's the stream coming in for you, Xorus? Is it all right? Because I'm getting Connect streaming software to go live, so I just want to make sure it's actually working. I'll just delete that link and start over again. Try to make sure it's working all right on my end there. YouTube sends you a lot of these nonsense messages, and it's like, I don't know if it's actually working. Sarah's excellent condition. That's fine. Okay, it's working fine. All right, good. Yeah, so I'll have to ask Alistair because I don't want it to be one too tall, so I gotta ask. But I think it should be fine because if you lift this bucket, it's within the block, and I don't know if he's counting the bottom one. So let's actually just. Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, that mechanism's good. It ends up working well. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and let's lower this down. Let's put the box in. All right, let's spawn it. Let's make a little. I'll make a little post. I'll put it on Alistair's, and I will we'll ask. So I gotta go in and get all my keybinds set up properly for to make it mimic my laptop to make the PC the same. All right, so let's take a quick pic here, and then I can we'll put it in paint, and then we can ask the question to Alistair in his chat so that we can get a determination here, because that will make it easiest than screwing around. Then if anyone else has the same question, then they can see it as well. So as you can see, it fits in fine from here to here. That's within. Okay. Let's get a color that I like, and we'll do. All right, so you can see the build fits within from here to here. But it's within that one block there. And then it should have, so I'm going to put something. Let's do a... How do I do a check? All right, I'm going to put this in Alistair's chat to just make sure, because the last thing I want is to have to do it last minute, fix something, so. So my question is if this counts as within the box. All right, so I posted that to the to his question. That way, if it isn't, I can play around with it. But I think this should be fine. That's often why I don't like this box business. It's like max length X, max height X. It's a little bit clearer to me, but I could, I don't want to overthink it, but I also don't want to make sure that I don't, get disqualified for one block, because I can change some things. All right, that's good. I don't want to paint yet. I want to work on the dash, I think. Let's get the bucket tilt fixed. The bucket tilt got broken, so I got to fix that. So let's go ahead and we want to find a place for the tilt. So the tilt goes there. Let's do. Okay. So that's there. I can't use there. Ideally, I want the tilt on the same plane as the pivot, so it can go right here is fine. Right there can be the tilt sensor. All right, and then let's go ahead and we'll refix this. Shit, did I get the box still in there? Move again. So I can turn the sounds back on. Might have to redo my save. We'll see. All right, we'll put the tilt sensor back in. Because what I wanted to do is, if you didn't see before, is I wanted to dump when it would naturally fall out. I don't want it to be faked in that way. All right. And so I showed in another video, as you're driving down, if you're driving down a hill, it's going to have the stuff fall out earlier if your bucket is not tilted back. And if you're driving up a hill, even if your bucket's tilted all the way down, it won't fall out because it's a gravity system, and that's what I want. So it's 0.25, so let's see. Negative 0.015 maybe. Let's say if it's negative, it tilts. We'll make it easy. I think it's already in there, actually. I think I already did the math on that one. Yeah, it's right here. Let's see what I said. I said 0. If it's less than 0, okay, that's good. Don't need to reinvent the wheel here. All right, let's go plug that in. That shouldn't need electricity. Now I can get rid of this, which is annoying to me. All right, that's gone. All right, so bucket tilts back connected, and real simple. To show when the bucket would tilt, when the bucket would activate. I'm just gonna do that real quick. So essentially, you have to tilt the bucket at an appropriate amount that it would naturally drop anyway, for it to dump. And so as you go down, you still dump, and you actually, you still dump your load. As you come up, as you go uphill, right, the tilt would decrease as you go up the hill because, right, you're going up a hill, and so going up a hill, you wouldn't tilt. Now at this setting, if you're going down a hill, it would tilt. And so that's how it happens in real life. So as you're going down a hill, you need to tip your bucket back more. As you're going up a hill, you can tip your bucket down less. So that's how that works IRL. Make sure this mechanism, it's a little bit hitchy, but it's not bad. You can see it kind of hitching a little bit. It's not bad, though. Yeah, it's a little hitchy, but I think it's fine. All right, that's good. Let me check Epic Source. Got a message. Good to see everybody. Do you know if the limits are random or do they correspond to something very specific? I think he just picked something that was a reasonable size. I'm not sure. I have to ask Alistair. He might come on later. We'll see. He stops by sometimes. All right, let's get this cover block back on the front. People are asking how I did this. So a drill does not actually have to touch the surface to drill. It has to be within a block or two. And so you can actually have an enclosed bucket. And there's actually a cool thing. Now, one of the stipulations on the challenge is that the vehicle has to have storage on board. And so that's part of the challenge. It has to have storage on board. Let me see. Is this a duct hopper? Where is the hopper on that one? I might have screwed myself a little here. Let me check something here. No, I think I screwed myself a little here. I got to fix something here. I'm going to do something here. Let's rotate this. I might have cut my capacity down. Let me check on that. I might have actually screwed myself on capacity. Let me fix this real quick. What are those? 3x3s are 9s and 27s. 27s. 27 times 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 7 is going to be 28. Okay. You read the capacity on these. 108, yeah. So because this hopper was pointing up, that one didn't count towards the total. So now it shows 108. Okay, good. So I could change. This now is a bigger capacity. I screwed something up. That was good. I checked that. I could put ducts in here, but I put hoppers in. Because I put hoppers in because I could put more stuff and do that. So 108's the new capacity. What do these hold? I don't think the funnels have an internal volume, but 108's the new number here. Let's see. Drill 108. All right, so once this hits, once the drill fill level is, actually it needs to be. Once the fill level equals 100, what are we doing, W? Once the fill level equals 108, which is the fill level, it will stop. Yeah, so you don't need the drill to actually touch the ore. This is how a bunch of my mining vehicles work. So I started talking about this before the circus came to town, and I got distracted by the hopper. So what you could do is that it was part of the requirements of the challenge to have internal storage. And so one thing you can actually do is, if see the drill is inside the bucket will hold the ore. So what will happen is if there was no internal storage in the bucket, it would drill and dump the chunks inside the bucket. So what you'll actually notice is this will shut the drill off when I just put it in as when it's equal to 108, which is the capacity. It's going to keep turning and drilling, and the chunks of ore are actually going to dump in the bucket. They'll be in here, and you can actually still dump that. So the capacity will be a little bit over 108, but you have to get them dumped. I think it's like, what, 60 seconds now before the chunks disappear. I really wish the devs would put a slider on that so that, for example, somebody with a reasonable PC can exceed that limit and hold on to it a little bit longer. Oh, fuck me. I gotta measure here. I'm trying to measure. What are we talking there? That is 6. That's 6. So 7. And that should be 9. 7 by 9. I think I have a 7 by 9. So yeah, people were asking how I was doing this. And that's all you do. And then I just, oh God, I hate these with a passion. I really do. These arrows, they're so bad. And then you just take a block, XML block, and so it's going to be essentially one block is right here. And the collision, when you XML something, the collision stays the same size. So you see where this outline of the block, that's actually where the collision is. The rest of it has no collision. Oh, I want one more, because if I put it here, you'll notice, let me merge it real quick. You see how you can see the outline? So you don't want to see the outline. So put it here, you won't see the outline. And then I just need to put something in there to hook it to. All right. So this is the type of stuff I like to XML with, is do this type of stuff, is to kind of hide and make things more realistic. It's just kind of my flavor of building. And so the only collision you have is right here, and so any ore that's in here will fall out of this area, and that will just be painted, you know, some sort of black, if I can find it. Oh, I have it on additive. There we go. So that will be painted black, so it looks like just the, you know, the interior of the bucket. And then when you go out to it, you can't see the drilling mechanism, but you go in there and it's in there. So this hides the crime. So that hides the crimes there. Let's see what else I want to do. I gotta find a lighting package, so let's do that. Might have to move bases again. All right, here's vehicle lighting here. Those are cherries. I think we're gonna. That will work. How's it going, Jay Cataclysm? How are you? All right, let's look at wheel loader. Back of a wheel loader again. Trying to see what the lighting looks like in the back. Yeah, it doesn't need the marker lights. Pretty much needs brake lights is all. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to use the rotating beacons because I've got kind of cool setup on my own, so I think I'm going to use that. I'm going to use this here. Okay. Make sure this has everything I just worked on. Yeah, this should be the most recent. I should have made a save, but yep, that's got everything. All right, let's go ahead and save this real quick before I screw up and don't save it. What is that? That's the controls. Okay, that's the panel. That's all the back stuff. That's the rear backup lights. You know, the select tool is fantastic in this game. It just makes it so much easier to move shit around. Because it's like I can do everything modularly. Very excited to see what the devs do next for updates. They've been really knocking out of the park with all these updates. And a lot of stuff's come from Q&As, so like when people, you know, will say, oh, they don't listen to what we say, it's like bullshit. They're doing a lot of the things that that some people in the community have been asking for, and it's like, yes, it might not be the thing you want, but it's a lot of things that other people have been asking for that are great things to add, so I'm thrilled with that. Added PTOs. They added a bunch of stuff that I had asked for over the years. I know a bunch of people in our community have asked for, like, for example, PTO shafts. So I'm using a bunch of that new PTO shaft. This has RPS going through it, and I need that because this controls the drill. I know this controls the drive, and this controls the drill. Used to not be able to do that, and so that would suck. That would limit how you could play. And so I'm really glad the devs added that. Yeah, so I highly recommend making some of these kind of prefab things for yourself, like lighting and all this other stuff, because it makes it so much easier that you can quickly kind of, you know, do a bunch of the vehicle work to make it unique, and then when you get to, you know, you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you do it. So like having engine controllers and lighting controllers and everything makes it so much easier to then go change them up when you need to and add new features. Or add old features to new builds. Let's put it that way. That's probably the best way to put it. All right, so those are front directionals. I don't see any space to put the front directionals. I'll put them in the front there at some point. Those are reverse lights, I believe. Let's see. I don't even have those hooked up. Oh, yeah, because they have to be hooked up to the reverse signal. So those are reverse lights. I might change those up anyway. So this bumper is not only a bumper, it's also generally a counterweight. Because you're going to put heavy stuff in the bucket, so you have a heavy bumper, which is, they can often add weight to make a counterweight. I don't think I want or need the marker lights in there. I definitely don't need the marker lights in there, but I'm going to put them in to see if we like them. I might do marker lights. All right, that's the control panel. So generally, it depends on the size of wheel loader you have, but a lot of the bigger ones don't have steering wheels. They just do joystick controls. But we'll figure this out where I want to put this stuff. Put that there for now. Add this to the long list of microcontrollers. I gotta hide later. Shouldn't be too hard in this build to hide microcontrollers. Pretty much the engine compartment, you're not gonna open up the engine compartment, so that'll make it easier to hide stuff. Those are front directionals. They will go somewhere here, so what I'm going to do is bang them together, and then we'll just stick them on for now, and then they'll move when I finally get the design done on the front. Okay, so that's all hooked up. I need to start doing some electricity on this. I haven't played with any of these new saddle seats either. That'll be fun to play with. Okay, and then... Alright, so now we have a key. We can start working on some of the stuff. Alright, so let's get a relay in there. As far as I'm concerned, the relay shouldn't be this big, but it is. Alright. Alright, so I have two batteries. One's going to be a hot battery, and one's going to be a master. So the master here is... it's used for everything, and then the hot battery is always powered. So you put your lights on this. So like you can go get out in your car often or generally and turn on the lights. That means it's hot bus, so it's on the hot bus. It's connected directly to the battery. You flip the switch, it's on. Other things, you need to turn the vehicle on. It closes the relay. Then you can do it, so you're not running down your battery. So like one thing we want to do is make sure all the lighting's connected, which it should be. All right, and then so once the lighting's connected, make sure these are connected there. All right, so we'll hook all the lighting together. All right, so that looks like the lighting is all hooked together. So lighting generally will go to the hot bus, which is going to be this one. All right, and the hot bus connects to this side. Actually, yeah, and I don't want it directly to the hot bus. I want to connect it to the hot side. And this is going to be the cold side over here. So the battery on this side will also... I don't want it to the hot bus, though. Shit. Yeah, so the hot bus will go here. That's the cold side of the battery goes there. Oh, fuck, I'm making this more complicated for no good reason. All right. This will be the cold battery. This will be the hot battery. All the hot battery will go here. All the cold battery will go here rather than the other side. All right. So lights go there. So everything hot bus will go there. The switch itself, the key, is powered. Right here. So that has to go to the hot side or it won't work to connect it. And then you want to take the key, and the key is going to close the connection. I got to redo a bunch of electrical stuff here. All right, so that's now, this battery is hooked there. The hot side's on this side. And then everything else needs to hook to here that's not hot. So we have cooling pumps. All the cooling apparatus goes here. So that's all the cooling apparatus. These are the the alternators. So that's the power generation. That can go to the hot side. Lighting's all connected. All right, so here are all of our drive gearboxes. Drive gearboxes can go to the cold side. All right, so that's all connected. So drive's connected to the cold side. Doors will be hot because we need to be able to get in and out before we start it. This will be on the hot side, on the cold side rather. This one here will be on the cold side. This will be on the cold side. Connectors don't need to be connected. What is that? That's lighting. That's fine. All of this doesn't need to be connected. That's it. Hello, Gaming Baron 1. How are you? Good to see you. All right, so that's all connected up the way I need it and want it. So let's go ahead and spawn it. We will make sure infinite electricity is off. It is. All right, now as we get in here, I shouldn't be able to lift the bucket. Okay. Something's fucked up with that already. Lovely, lovely. Oh, you know what it is? Yeah, it's because the battery's hooked up over here. Let's hook both batteries to hot side. That's fine. Alright, so now I can't lift that. I can't steer. I can't do anything because that would be all hydraulic IRL. So you'd have to start the engine. Interesting. Okay, that's because I left it in the last position. Alright, so we'll put something on that for that. So let's do arms controller. Seat. Logic. Key switch. Alright, so if the hydraulics... shit, I don't want them zeroed, though. Let's do this. Because I want it to function realistically. All right, so now unless the vehicle is on, you're not going to be able to actively lift the arms because again, that would be hydraulic in real life. Now, generally what's going to happen is when you sometimes you can lower implements because of their weight with the hydraulic system because literally all you're doing is opening a valve. Now, some of the systems are electric valves and so you can't open them, and one of this is a safety reason is if you lose power, you don't want the bucket to fall down and hit somebody. You don't want to accidentally get in the cab, lean on the handle, and have the bucket come down and crush somebody. And so they'll put cutout systems in there so they can't do that. Like I've operated some that, for example, if your bucket was up and you shut the machine off, or your arms are up and you move the handle, you can drop the bucket down because you're just mechanically controlling a valve. More modern stuff is all electrically controlled. So we gotta actually connect that. That would be good to do. All right, let's do that. All right, so right here, the key switch will run that. We have the engine controller. I need to change that from a 6 to a key. So P value will work. I can do that. So that just goes in there. That's all that will do. All right. Connect that up. All right, so that will start the engine. 6 no longer start stops. All right, so when we get in now, we should not be able to control the bucket. All right, bucket doesn't control, and it shouldn't even move the numbers at all, so that when I do start it, they shouldn't like assume the position they should be at. All right, I've got no start on that. Interesting. Let's see. Did I hook the? I did hook the relay up. The hot side is on the left. The hot side has both batteries. The hot side should go to the alternators. I don't think I hooked up the starters. That's the thing. Yep, I didn't hook up the starters. Starters should go on the cold side. There we go. Alright, not doing it. What the fuck? So let's go check see if I can see starters here. It does have electricity, and it's just not getting the signal, so I might have disconnected something. Starters are there. Okay. Okay, I think there's a 6 on the starter itself. Let's see. Right here, starter. See, it's 6. That should go like that. All right, that'll fix that. All right, so I'm going to try to put the bucket up. We'll start it. I'm doing well, thanks, Game Baron. All right, good. So we're up and running. Now we can move the bucket. All right, now if I shut it off, you'd have a safety cutout system in the real ones where you should not be able to lower this or raise this when the power's off. So the point of that is, oh my God, the engine died. I need to go in there and check something, and then somebody leans on the handle and kills you by crushing. So unfortunately, that stuff's happened in IRL. And you start it back up. Now you can control the bucket again because, again, we're simulating that this is all hydraulic. The engine's running the hydraulic pumps. This is why I'd love them to add real hydraulics in game. That'd be fan-frickin-tastic. All right, good. I got to merge something I didn't merge. All right, good. That's merged up. Let's test the lighting. So lights should work without the power on. Because you come out to the vehicle, you need to go to a walk around, you light up some lights. That's on a hot bus. Okay. So that's that hazards. Hazards aren't. Oh, okay, this panel just needs to be connected. I thought I connected it. I guess I didn't. It's connected. Huh. Why is the hazards button not working? Let me look. 2 hazards toggle. Now let's go through the whole lighting here. So we should be able to do it off. So headlights. Hazards isn't clicking. Okay, so that needs to be in the hot bus too. That's why. Okay, so I put that one on the cold bus. That needs to be in the hot bus. All right, that's hot bus now. That works. All right. Because these switches don't need power. All right, there's hazards. So this is one of the reasons why I didn't want to use the new rotating ones. I like it that I can set up my own systems. I could even put in blinks. I could do all sorts of things there. And you see they're flashing on the side there. We've got flashing turns. We've got, because our headlights are on, our markers are on in the center there. If I press I haven't hooked up brakes, but those will control the brakes there. All right, good. So that's all good. Making progress here. All right, that's good. And then let's start figuring out what we want in our central dash locations. You don't want symmetry on for that. I'm going to go use the bathroom real quick. We'll do a quick coffee break, and I'll come back and we'll work on that next. All right, I'll be right back, guys. All right, I'm back. Coffee break was a great success. Let's see. Let me just fix this cover screen real quick. All right, good. All right, so let's start thinking out dash. One thing I want to add that I don't know if I'm going to be able to add, which is all right. Would be a good detail would be joysticks. So essentially, the end effectors are really good-looking joysticks, and the problem is I'd have to do tilt and roll on them, and that's just, I don't have the space for that, so I'm not going to worry about it. Let's think about doors. The doors are a little bit of a pain in the ass on this one, because the way I get the ladder set up, and I don't want to push the ladder to the front because I need the space for the wheels. So let's work with the doors. Yeah, let's do the doors. That's an easy, quick thing. And I'll stream for like 30 more minutes and then I'll get off. I'll be on later, probably. Got some other stuff to do. All right, that's in there. All right. Yeah, so one of the things I was talking about is those the flip switches don't require electricity, which is neat because on builds where like you do kind of old-timey stuff that doesn't need electricity and you can kind of fake that pretty well with the fact that they don't need electricity. I gotta boot this person on Twitch. All right, good, they're gone. The nice thing too is with a lot of these industrial builds, you can really they don't have to be really like prettified. Like I can have square doors because they'd have square doors in the real ones. You don't need to have like really rounded out stuff. All right, let's find a door controller here. All right. Yeah, I'm trying to decide how I wanted this door. Might not be able to do this because of the collision. I might have to start with the doors open. Yeah, see, the collision's gonna make it so I can't do that door like that. Have to do my other door controller. Okay, we'll do it with, I can't do a two-way toggle either, can I? I can keep them open, but then, with the, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to do a two-way toggle. Because it's gonna hit, no, it works. Okay, that's fine. Not exactly what I'd like, but that'll work. All right. And the default position should be closed on, should be 1. A lot of my doors I start in the open position, so that's why it's like that. All right. And then let's see if it's positive. It is positive. All right, good. And then we need to hook the electricity up correctly. So these are going to be hot bus, so you can always use the doors, even when it's not powered. So that goes on the hot bus side right there. All right. All right. There we go. All right, good. And we're hitting the spotlight there, so I might want to put the spotlight on the top. All right. All right, good. Good visibility in here. See everything. I like it. All right, good. All that works for me. Let's go ahead do additive paint, and I want to do the blackest of black on that. There we go. So these spots are in the way. That's fine. We'll go like this. All right, that's good. We got doors, we got spotlights. I should be able to walk in there more freely now. Let's see. Not hit my head in the spotlight. Yep, that's better. Okay. Get in, no problem getting out. Makes that easy. Ingress, egress is good. Easily hit this from the seat. Looks good. I got a visibility window there to see. Look good. I'm liking it. Get out either side. So tight quarters, I can get it over the other side. All right, good. That's working well. All right, let's see. We got all that's easily reachable. The key. This is going to be stuff. I'm going to do, normally what I do for shifting gears is up-down arrows, but because I need that for the bucket, I can't do that. So that's kind of unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world. All right, let's see. Gear indicator will be a 7-segment number, backlight, signal. We'll do shift up, park brake, indicator light, Shift down. Do the blacks to black of black there. All right, that's good. That'll be the shifter. Engine instrumentation here and a speedo there, I think, is what we're doing. All right, and these will be not hot bust. Those will be cold bus. All right, good. That's good. Let's get this shifter hooked in. We can actually fill this out first. So we want engine temp, dial 0 to 120. RPM, dial 0. What am I running? Maybe 10. Let's see. Fuel. Total. Fuel in gallons. Low fuel. Indicator. All right, good. And for now, I'm just going to do a linear speed direct connect. That merged. It is merged. Okay. Just going to do a linear speed direct connect for now, and then I'll change it from meters per second to miles per hour. The shifter, let's see. Gotta go to transmission. Here's a shift panel. Now we're reading. It could be 2 and 4. All right, that will do that. All right, that's gonna read out for a neutral. So for a neutral, the parking brake should be on. Gear indicator is what? 2? No, gear indicator is 1. Do that. 24, 25 will be there. That works. At 24. 25. All right, that works there. This one should go. Oh, Jesus Christ. Backlight signal should always be on this one. There we go. There we go. That park brake should. Oh, it's because we're on neutral instead of park brake. All right, I gotta fix that. So there's 2 ways I can do this. 1 and 2 to do gears, or I can also do this. All right. All right, that's meters per second. I got to change that up, but I got to fix one of them. So let's take a look. That's 3 meters per second, 4 meters per second, 5. All right, good. That's about 14. All right, I got to do brakes. I'll finish up here. I'll finish up here in a little bit, and I'll be back on later. But, God damn it. I've had the cover screen on. No, I haven't. Okay, good. I shut the cover screen off. I was looking at my stream got put behind, so we're good. I thought I had that up the whole time. All right, so I got to set the park brake. Okay, I know how to fix that real quick. Instead of it being neutral, I'm using that for something else, though. I need that. Let's do 23. Oh, my buddy brought me some toys. 23. I could put it over here, but I want to clean lines, so I'm going to do 23 there. And then if I do 31, I want that like that. All right. And this will change to 23. All right, that will do that. All right, good. I'll do a backup alarm. I probably got one saved. Let me look. No. Nope. All right. I've got it on something else. I got to pull it off a build. I think this one's got a backup alarm on it. Pretty sure this has a backup alarm on it. Right here. Buzzer. Okay. This one has cool lights, as you can see. They're a pain in the ass though, to make. There's a blinker buzzer. All right. I'll show you the lights on this real quick. These are kind of cool. I would almost want to add the full light package on this, but we'll see. It does wigwags there, so I have wigwags on them. But I don't think I want to add wigwags. Reverse alarm. Reverse. Buzzer. Okay. Just turn that off. This also has to go to these reverse lights. Okay. That's the one. It's too short. I think 0.6 probably. All right, that's better. All right, let's save this up and I'm going to take a break. I'll probably be back on later. All right, so if you guys liked the video, make sure to give it a like. If you're new and you enjoyed it, subscribe and appreciate you guys joining me. And I'll see you guys in the next one.